Well, that was last Saturday night here on Box Nation, the fight taking place in Denmark. Of course, it was Kessler, hurt in the opening round by an ultra-confident Alan Green, who had an awful lot to prove. He was fighting for his future. He was fighting for the right to be where he truly believes he belongs. And for a round and a half, it looked like it was going to come true. It looked to me like perhaps Kessler's great 10 years or so, or 7 years or so, at the very top was coming to an end. And then midway through the second, Mikkel started to gather his senses and he started to do a job. And the final chilling knockout was brilliant. Contender for knockout of the year? Well, I tell you what, I can't see very much beating it. And the man who promoted that, and he was at ringside often waving to us because he communicates with people that are here in the studio, and it's like a family affair thing. You understand me? I'm delighted to say that Kalle Sauerland joins me on the line now. Kalle, how are you?
Evening, Bunce. How are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Kalle, listen, I know the way you react after fights, and I saw you jumping all over Mikkel. That was a big relief when that final left hook landed.
Oh, I wouldn't want to say what I was doing at the halfway through the first round, but no, he gave us a fright. But he quickly pulled himself together, and I think it was a case of ring rust, and let's say, quite a tough opponent, being out of the ring for 11 months. We mustn't forget, it's only his second fight since the Froch fight 2 years ago.
Cool. Is Mikkel the kind of man that maybe over-analyses his performances, Kalle? Because it seems that way to me, that, he's a smart guy, he's a clever guy, and I'm just wondering if perhaps he maybe over-analyses his performances and his preparation. Is that the type of guy he is?
But, Bunce, he's a true professional. He's got a team around him, which he puts together. He's got a chef, he's got a physiotherapist full time. He's got all sorts of different conditioning trainers. He's obviously got Jimmy Montoya, and he's never really out of training.
Sure.
I spoke to him today, and he was in the gym. I said, "What are you doing in the gym?" He said, "Well, I've just had to get something out of me that didn't get rid of at the weekend." So instead of going off as most fighters would do and have a holiday afterwards, he was back in the gym today. So, he is going to go on holiday now, and we're already looking at what's up for him late summer, autumn.
So now, give us a clue about that. I mean, are you thinking a defence of that silver title maybe in Germany or most probably in Denmark, or are you thinking something slightly bigger? And could that possibly involve our very own Nathan Cleverly? Any ideas? Give us a clue, Kalle.
Well,
come on.
I think with all due respect to the silver title, I don't think Kessler is a silver champion.
Neither do I.
And we'll be certainly looking for some bigger silverware than that, or goldware, hopefully.
Goldware, yeah.
And there's a lot of things up in the air. I've heard there was I mentioned obviously a big fighter in the UK, Nathan Cleverly, would be an interesting one, of course, for the UK fans. But on the international scene, Lucien Boutet, Carl Froch, they've got an absolute war at the weekend. There's the Jean-Pascal Tavoris Cloud fight taking place in the summer. There's a lot of talk about Dawson versus Ward. I think that's being confirmed in the next couple of days. But that's a little bit, that's in September, so we don't want to hang around that long.
Sure.
There's a lot, but Mikkel's flexible. He can box at 168. He can box at 175. He even said to me, go down to 160. So
no, really?
Yeah. He's honestly, he can play around with his weight, and as he showed at the weekend, he went up. He was only slightly into the light heavyweight zone.
Yeah, did you make the fight at 170?
As he showed, he can still whack.
Yeah, Kalle, did you make that fight at 172, or was it made at 175?
No, it was a catch weight up to
174. Oh, 174.
Up to 174.
Okay,
so it was to give him a little bit of leeway, but at the same time, bring him up gradually. And to be honest with you, it was all good. I've got, hats off to Alan Green. He really took it to Mikkel in the first round, and it was of course a terrific ending for Mikkel.
Kalle, are you serious? Can he do not only 168, but could he go down to 160 or even do a catchweight fight if for instance, you could entice?
Yeah, look,
really?
he said to me before we went to Green, we were really stuck with opponents. We had a long look at Brian McGee. The terms were just a bit too heavy for us in the end. And he said to me, Kalle, look at 160. And I said, first of all, it was a joke, but We did, but it was too short notice, and we ended up going a little bit up. So
sure.
you know, we're flexible with him, and you know, he's just an absolute class fighter who's proven himself over quite a few years now. More
than a few years, and he's also proven himself brave enough to go overseas. I know before you handled him, he went his first defence. He went out to Australia, fought Anthony Mundine, and then of course he was pushing for the Calzaghe fight for a long time. Wasn't afraid to go to Wales and fight Calzaghe. But I mean, is there a sense in your head, Kalle, that you can stick with him in Denmark because he could do fantastic figures there, or are you also prepared to go on the road if he needs be again?
Oh, well, we know one of the first fights I did with Mikkel was to travel to Oakland to box Andre Ward. You know, so it's not about where it is.
Sure.
It's always a shame to leave Denmark because he just gets these huge crowds. You know, well, there was almost 17,000 in the venue on Saturday for a minor title fight. So, you know, a championship fight is going to pull in, you know, a crowd of 20,000 plus. You know, and the Danish crowd is a great crowd. So,
great crowd.
But we will travel if that's what it takes to make the big fights.
Listen, Kalle, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's been far too long since you and I had a schnapps together, and let's make sure we don't leave it too long.
Definitely, Bunce. We got them chilled over here, so see you soon.
Yeah, listen, absolutely brilliant. Kalle Sauerland there, friend of mine, friend of the shows, and one of the best promoters in the world. And you know what is really nice? When you speak to fighters who don't know that you know him, and they talk about how fantastic he treats them and how fantastic his organisation is. I got a tweet came in from Chris Mickey 88. He says, "Oi, Buncey, Lewis Ronda, boy. Reese is fighting at the weekend." Well, that's fantastic. Sorry I missed it out. It's not intentional. It's just I don't have a list of fighters. And someone else has tweeted in and said, "What was that about Luxembourg?" And the story about Luxembourg was that it's a very small European country with a boxing federation formed in 1922. And today, after a meeting, they've decided to grant Derek Delboy Chisora a licence. So it's a green light for July 14. Now, at the weekend,